good morning. And it's another amazing day in Dorset. You could be forgiven for thinking that Dorset's always sunny, I think, but it's definitely not. In fact, January and February this year has been really drab and grey most of the time. It's just that I managed to kind of grab the sunny days to get out and film, and that's what I'm doing today. And you will have seen from the sign that we have come to Kimmeridge. So I'm currently stood looking out over Kimmeridge village and Kimmeridge Bay with Clavell Tower. And I've got a fairly loose plan for today. The first thing I'm going to do is to drop down to Kimmeridge Bay. So I'm going to walk through the village down to Kimmeridge Bay. That's the bit that's certain. Beyond that, I'm kind of going to make it up as I go along, really. But I fancy it's going to be a rock hopping walk, or certainly the first half, a rock hopping walk. A rock hopping low tide walk. That's my kind of loose plan initially, and then beyond that we will see. Yeah, I'll tell you more as we go, I think. But it's an absolutely fantastic day. It's cold, deep frost this morning when I got up, but the sun's warming it up. And it is beautifully clear, so it promises to be a good day. Whatever happens and wherever we go, it's going to be a good day. So I hope you're going to follow me and enjoy the walk with me. And yeah, I'll tell you more as we go. So yeah, this is Kimmeridge village down below me here. Kimmeridge Bay in the distance. You can see the row of Coast Guard cottages, and Clavell Tower obviously up there. And the other thing I've spotted is this tree. Look at the fantastic colour on that tree. That's amazing, that is. Absolutely beautiful. Like autumn colours in late winter. Anyway, yes, I'm going to walk through the village. You can go off-road down to the bay, but I actually quite like walking through the village, as you know, so that's what I'm going to do first of all. So there's actually two reasons why I'm walking through the village. Partly because, as you know, I always enjoy walking through these old villages and looking at the gardens and the cottages. But it's also because the alternative route, which actually runs behind the village to the right and goes down a valley, is invariably boggy, you know, in the wet seasons, and it's been pretty wet recently, so there's quite a lot of surface water around. So I thought, let's stick to the hard ground. I love this village, especially on days like today when it's cold and it's fairly early. And it's quiet, not much traffic around, not too many people so far at all. So we've reached the end of the village now, so I might try going down to the valley bottom here. Hopefully I will have avoided some of the mud, but who knows? Well, it's pretty squelchy, but not as bad as I've known it. It is kind of got at least some hardness to it, so you don't sink in, but it is very slip slidey. Now this is not good. See the telegraph pole there leaning quite a lot. And it looks like there's a tree that's come down in here that's snagging the cables here, which are rather pulled quite badly. I wonder how they find out about these things. When, I don't know, I presume they won't know until there's a fault. And this is quite squelchy. So the two up the top there, the two humps that you see there, where my pole is, that's Tyneham Cap, which were it not a weekday I could go up there, but the firing range walks will be closed, although I can't hear any guns at the moment. That's looking back where we came from, so I came down over there. There's our lovely tree. To the sea. That's where I'm headed. So it'll be interesting to see what the state of the tide is when I get to Kimmeridge Bay. I'm not a surfer. My stomach is definitely not into boating on boats, and I'm not a fisherman, so I'm kind of not gifted with understanding tides and tide times and all that kind of thing. I have checked the tide tables, but even those don't always agree. I think I must have checked at least a dozen tide tables before today, yesterday and this morning. Whoops, this is muddy. And there seems to be a divergence of views as to when low tide is at Kimmeridge. So I probably won't know until I get here. There were some that suggest that low tide is midday, 12. There are some who suggest that low tide is at 2 p.m. or 3 p.m. is it this afternoon, I think. So it's kind of a bit mysterious. I suppose the clue is the fact that they are tide predictions, so I guess there's never anything totally certain about these things. They are predictions. but hopefully we'll be okay anyway. Well, we're nearly at the bay. And there's a tea wagon, and it's open. I could actually quite fancy a tea or a coffee right now, but I'm kind of thinking I need to check the tides before I decide what to do. Might be that I should keep walking, because kind of loose idea of a walk is probably going to be 10 or 12 miles, I think, if I follow the route I've kind of loosely got in mind. Oh, you can see the Coast Guard cottages, or ex Coast Guard cottages now. I think they're mostly, I don't know if they're holiday lets, I think that's probably what they are. Right, let's have a look. Ah, well, the ledges are exposed. Clavell Tower over there on its hill. Okay, that looks positive then. Yet more coastal erosion. This part of the coast is really known for its erosion because it's Kimmeridge shale. It's not solid rock. I guess the path must have eroded. Right, well, let's go down the roadway then. So the view from this side, you can see Portland in the distance. Across the bay here is Broad Bench, which is a wide flat ledge, and the gnarly cliffs up the other side, that's Gad Cliff, and that's all firing range, and obviously the distinctive double hump of Tyneham Cap. It's a lovely place, Kimmeridge, absolutely beautiful. And over here, testament to the amount of rain we've had, because the waterfall is running quite well over there. Morning. So the rock hopping has begun. And for the moment I am heading east away from Kimmeridge Bay and heading towards Chapman's pool. If the tides are right, I should be able to get right through on the shoreline to Chapman's pool. And I say if the tides are right because the problem with this shoreline is that there are two pinch points. There is one pinch point at the western end, the Kimmeridge Bay end, which is further on. We haven't got to it yet. And there is also another one at well, at the Chapman's pool end, where the Encombe waterfall drops off into the sea, and you need low tide in order to get through those 2 points, otherwise you're cut off by the tide. And it looks like it might be right to me, my eyes. It looks like the tide is going down, which is actually what we want. And down there you can see that's the remains of what used to be a jetty, stone jetty, which was used I think for the shell mining, because this is a big shell mining area, and the jetty was used to ship it out from here. And these cliffs are Kimmeridge shale, very unstable. But we will keep going because well, as you can see, it's not an easy path to walk, because you're just rock hopping all the time, and you have to watch so much what you're doing so you don't twist your ankles, especially in my case, of course. But yeah, I really wanted to do this walk, so I'm hoping it's going to work out all right. Oops. Yeah, it'd be quite nice if these rocks were all kind of flat topped rocks, but unfortunately they're not. They're at all angles, which makes life a little bit difficult. So I have to go slowly, of course. But what I like about it is it gives you a completely different view of this part of the coast, because normally we're at the top looking down on this, so for once we're at the bottom looking up, and it's certainly not anything I've filmed before. Ooh, look at that. Bit of nice driftwood. If only I had a Sherpa who could carry it for me. Whoop. Oh dear. Lost my balance. That's because I'm focusing on filming and not on where I'm walking. I'm going to switch the camera off for a minute. As we're getting near spring, because there's a giant bee flying around here. Nice to see that. Lots of flies as well, and fossils. Well, it's where fossils come from, isn't it? Ammonite. That's a bit better. Now these are nicely organised. Look, these are nice and flat. Why can't they all be like that? Ah, that's better. Now we're on a ledge. What's the job? I think one of the problems here, of course, is that we have double high tides. So it's quite difficult, I think, well, for me as a non-sea person. So I think the position today is that there is, oops, it's slippery, these rocks, that there is a low tide at around midday, which is about probably half an hour's time, I think. There is then a kind of mini high tide, which is actually not much higher than the low tide, to be truthful, not according to the forecasts I've seen. And then after that the tide drops down again to another low tide at around about 2 o'clock. So if that's right, it should be perfect. There that is. That's what I'm hoping anyway, but I'll tell more when I get up to the first pinch point, and I haven't got there yet. One of the things I'm interested in seeing is, many years ago, and I can't remember when, it's probably 20 years ago now, somebody noticed a mine cart hanging out of the cliff face up here. I think it was further on. And it's one, because this is a shell mining area, so there were at least 5 mines going into these cliffs, and at the top as well, some open cast mining at the top. And the cart, I think when they closed the mines down, which was is it late 1800s? I think it was late 1800s they stopped mining, and I think this particular cart had been obviously left at that time, and erosion, I mean it was in a mine, but erosion of the cliff face meant that it kind of came to the surface and it was hanging out of the cliffs. I got photographs of it, so I can put those up. But I'm just interested to see whether it's actually still there, whether I can even remember where it was. So I'm intrigued to see that. I just love the variety of rocks and that you see here. It's just fascinating, I think. Tell you what, it's hot, surprisingly, and I wondered if it would be, because I think the wind is a kind of northeasterly wind, so we're sheltered by these huge cliffs, which also reflect the sun, of course, so it's warm walking around here. There's an oyster catcher over there. You can see how low the tide is now by how much this ledge goes out to sea, exposed. So that's a good sign. If I need to stick to the shoreline here, I think. Yes. You gotta watch the green things, this is slippery. I used to stay on the dry. Well, there's a relic from the mining days, because that's a bit of rail which presumably came down from the cliffs. Can't say I'm actually seeing the little truck that was hanging out, but I can't remember exactly where it was. It may have collapsed and gone, or it may have got covered over, because there's a fall there, look. And that's one of the things with this Kimmeridge coast, because these cliffs are so unstable. When you walk along here, there's a constant trickle of shale which trickles down, almost like water that kind of trickles down the face of the cliffs, especially in this wet season. But it's a lovely bit of coast, isn't it? You know, somewhere you don't normally see. Another remains. It's interesting that these rocks, you notice they're all rounded, all the edges are rounded where they've been pummeled by the tide for so long. There's such a variety. Look at this craggy one in here. And ledges, see a ledge there, flat ledges. An amazing area. Dorset at its best, isn't it? Not a bad view back, is it? There's remains up there. It's like a load of rails poking out of the cliffs. So I presume that's probably a old mine entrance. And I'm not actually seeing any sign of a cart. And there's more relics up there. I don't know if that will come out very well on the film, but more rails hanging out. So shell mining apparently has gone on since Neolithic times. It's a substance that burns, so it's good for heat, obviously, keeping warm. But it's also been used a lot here for creating salt. So I guess they get seawater and boil it until all the water's gone, leaving the salt residue, which I think is a practice that's still done today, although not here, of course. Interesting. Almost looks like that could be a mine entrance that's been blocked up. Very wet. Wonderful rock formation here. And in the distance over there you can see Emmett's Hill, which we've walked before. It's got a decent waterfall here. We'll go up this way. Strata going across that way and one coming diagonally down. That's well calcified in there. And the colours are amazing. Amazing reflections. So believe it or not, there used to be a way up to the cliff top from here, which I walked numerous times. Round the corner, this is Rope Lake Head, round the corner you could climb up onto this ledge, walk past the waterfall, and then there used to be some sloping, there was a slanting ridge that went up to the cliff top up there, but it's long crumbled away now, so it's no longer accessible. In fact, I'm not even sure you can even get up onto the ledge now. We'll soon see when we go around the other side. This is the first pinch point, so the water comes right up here and cuts this part off. It's a little bit tricky getting through because you've got these sloping rocks, but at the same time you've got slippery slabs, so you kind of take your choice. And I'm taking the slippery slabs and walking carefully. This may look nothing, but it is very slippery. Right. Ooh. That was close. As soon as you take your eyes off the ground, We're in danger. So this is where you used to be able to get up. You used to be able to climb up onto here, but it would be very difficult to do it now. And to be fair, there was a rope there, I seem to remember. It's used to help. There's another one, ammonite. And this thing has been here as long as I can remember. Not sure what it is. Is it something to do with fishing? Does it hold the net open? Kind of barge board or whatever they call it that holds the net open or something? Not quite sure. Been there a long time. There was a time there was a whale as well that was washed up on this part of the beach. I think I've got photographs of somewhere. So this is the bit where we have to get through this part and past the Egmont waterfall before the tide comes in again. Otherwise, might have to spend the night here. Be a bit cold, I fancy. Ooh, what's that? Another mining relic. Seems to be buried in the rock. Seem to have lost the sun temporarily. We've got a big old bank of cloud. Hopefully not for long. I do like it when we get these ledges that I can walk on, because they're so much flatter and easier than rock hopping. Of course, the thing is, we can't actually see the other end of this, the second pinch point we can't see at the moment. Well, looking back, they've still got the sun over there. Oh. It's coming over to us now. Interesting rock. Got a hard bit stuck to it. There's loads of these white rocks with the kind of pattern or grain going through them. I'm sure a geologist would know exactly what they are. But since I'm not a geologist, I don't know. Yes, it's kind of rugged, barren and empty, I think, this foreshore along the Kimmeridge coast. I've not seen a single person since I left Kimmeridge Bay. I wonder why that is. It's not easy walking, but I just think it's amazing because it's different, you know. There's more of these funny little triangular almost. What they are. There's another one. Amazing with the when the sun comes out. Just awesome. That's interesting. But a lot of these rocks here obviously fallen from the cliff top. Yeah, go around these. It's a bit mucky, so you can see the other side now because you can see Houns Tout. The Encombe Bight is just this side of Houns Tout, so I've got to get past that point over there. It looks fine at the moment, and then I've got to get around Houns Tout as well to reach Chapman's Pool Beach. So we're about to round this head here, and I still didn't see the truck, so I guess it's probably gone. Yes, we'll go up here, I think. The amazing patterns in that piece of rock. It's like a moonscape, isn't it? And there's something about the fact that it's somewhere you never walk. Well, I mean, I've done it a few times, but you know, it's not a regular walk simply because of the problem with the tide and getting cut off. And I think that makes it, somehow makes it all the more special to me. Some would say it's a waste of time, it's hard work for no purpose, you may as well go along the top. But I just think it's different, you just get a different view from down here. I just think it's amazing. I love it. What I should say, incidentally, if you're inspired to come and try this, is that there is no way out off the beach apart from Kimmeridge Bay at one end and Chapman's Pool at the other. And Chapman's Pool is in distance over there. There is no way, because there is no way of climbing up these cliffs. Amazing strata across the top, square blocks almost. If you're interested, incidentally, in the geology of this part of the coast, another lovely rock. There is a really good website which I have referred to before, that's put up by, I think it's Southampton University Geology Department, and they've got loads of information about this part of the coast, the stratas and where it came from, how it was formed, all that kind of thing, obviously aimed at university students. But yeah, it's an amazing resource, so much information. Interesting. DHS. I wonder what that stands for. Name of a ship, obviously. I've actually got a couple of those in my garden that I've picked up along the coast, just washed ashore. Not taking that one though, because it's too big. But it's very kind of them, I have to say, to provide these nice ledges to walk along. You see the tide is still quite a long way out, because this ledge goes quite a long way. Interesting seeing them from the top of the cliffs, actually, up there, because you do get a feel for how long these ledges are, how flat they are, and how much they stretch out to sea, which maybe you can't see fully from here. So we've lost sight of Kimmeridge now and the coast to the west. We've rounded a bend. There's another mini waterfall running off there. It's a trickle, which is surprising, bearing in mind the rain we've had. It'll be interesting to see what the waterfall at Egmont Point is like, because that kind of dries up in the drier season. It's the runoff from the Encombe House lakes, and it splashes down. We can't see it because it's behind the headland in front of us, but it splashes down to the sea at that point. I hope it's running full flow. It's not so interesting as it used to be anyway, because it used to run right off the tip of Egmont Point, but it doesn't now. The tip has kind of eroded away, so the waterfall drops down earlier. It's not quite so picturesque, should we say. I think this is magnificent. This is absolutely amazing. It's interesting. Almost looks like my kitchen. They're all like square tiles. You could almost swear that somebody has come in and tiled this all over it. How fascinating is that? Nature's tiling. I can hear, oh, what's up there right on the horizon? Some power boats going out. Got to get up onto this ledge. It's potentially slippery. Right, turn the camera off a minute. Well, I'm nearly at the second pinch point. Wafer thin. So this was a really huge rockfall. Well, cheers. And it's a brand new path as well. And what a magnificent view that is. Just look at that.